This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. NASA astronauts return in SpaceX capsule after 9 months in space. If you haven't heard about this Psyop, let me explain it to you. Apparently, there's been astronauts sitting in space for 9 months. Our government, up until now, had no interest in rescuing them, but of course, Elon Musk and SpaceX went up and saved them and brought them down. And I'm going to show you some of the fakest CGI footage you could possibly imagine. And anybody out there that looks at this footage and tells me that it's actually real, you might want to go to an optometrist today and get your eyes checked, although your optometrist could end up being somebody like Lady Gaga or Katy Perry, since, you know, they all failed out of optometry school but always wanted to be optometrists. That's why they love holding their hands up over their eyes. But anyone with eyes to see and ears to hear should be able to see this very, very clearly. And there's a massive deception going on here, and I'm going to explain to you why. So you might see this and say, well, what would the point be in having this whole tall tale of NASA astronauts stranded and then have SpaceX come up and save the day? Well, they're going to start conditioning you again into believing that space travel is real, which is something that they've quietly not done as much over the last 2 decades or so. In fact, more people have woken up to NASA and their lies and about how we never actually went to the moon in the first place. So if they're going to do this exploration with Mars on Devon Island, which is all fake, where they're going to simulate humanoid Tesla bots going to Mars and then eventually humans by 2029, as Elon Musk says, well, they need to start conditioning your brain into thinking that space travel is real again. They need to start conditioning your brain into seeing SpaceX as being even greater than NASA, because it was SpaceX who somehow saved NASA, right? So we have these two things happening at once. At the same time as SpaceX saving the day from NASA, Elon Musk again has announced that in 2026 they're going to do this Mars mission where they're going to put a Tesla Optimus robot on Mars, Devon Island, and it's going to be some of the funniest, fakest footage that we've ever seen. So if you're going to try to convince people that space is real, that these people have the ability to go to planets that they choose to go to, it just takes a long time to get there, when the fact of the matter is they can't break on through what's up above. And we all know that. That's part of the reason that they're able to modify the weather by heating up the ionospheres to bounce these beams off of what is above our heads, a firmament. So in order to do that, they have to, of course, have their alt-right media on board. When the alt-right media is supposedly attached to conspiracies, you don't hear them talking about fake moon landings, space, and what NASA really does ever. And that's why with this footage that I'm about to show you, you see people like Alex Jones retweeting what Elon Musk tweets out. You see Ben Shapiro retweeting what Charlie Kirk puts out. This is a monumental teaching moment, right? While the Democrats are burning down Tesla dealerships, SpaceX just saved those 2 astronauts who Biden left stranded in space. You get Matt Walsh and libs of TikTok tweeting this out. So all the conservative media is tweeting this out. And all the conservatives are believing this fake footage I'm about to play for you as being real. And they're cheering on their heroes, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and getting sucked deeper and deeper in the psychosis. They need to show you some of the footage that I'm going to play for you, because in order to psychologically manipulate people, they need to see it with their own eyes. But the problem is that the people who are seeing things with their own eyes are seeing it through a blurred lens. They're seeing it through the news, on television, or on social media. They're not seeing it out in the real world. And they're believing these lies as reality. That's why it was so important for the staged fake assassination attempt on Donald Trump to be on national television, because it brought people deeper into the psychosis. They can't fathom the fact that that could have been staged or faked, because they saw it with their own eyes, and they saw Donald Trump stand up and scream, "Fight, fight, fight," because that image was so important to the psychosis. Well, you tell me, this image, this video clip I'm about to play for you, if you don't think that this is CGI, I don't know what to tell you other than to maybe get your vision checked. This is what they aired on the news and then was reposted by Elon Musk and the alt-right media. And they're telling us that this is not CGI. Look at this footage of the supposed astronauts landing in the ocean.
And splashdown. Crew 9 back on Earth.
And SpaceX Freedom, splashdown. Good main release.
Copy splashdown. We see main chutes cut. Nick, Alex, Butch, Sunny, on behalf of SpaceX, welcome home.
So I don't know how much faker you could actually make it look. Now, Elon Musk in the past has even said, hey, a lot of our footage that we released from SpaceX, it does look like CGI, but it's all real video. So we're supposed to take him at his word when he's telling people to use his Grok, his Saturn artificial intelligence, which could easily create that exact footage right there, which people should be able to tell the difference between what's real and what's not. And if that's not fake enough, they even had dolphins welcome the SpaceX crew. That's right. Dolphins appeared and they zoomed in on the dolphins and it literally looked like it was out of a video game. Maybe it was Echo the dolphin who appeared. A couple of dolphins just start swimming around. And then that brings people deeper into the psychosis because people out there were thrilled. They were like, it's amazing. What a great spiritual moment. The dolphins are greeting the people as they come back to Earth. Look at this footage.
Closing the distance there between, dolphin cam back again. We can see that the Dragon capsule and the recovery vessel, that distance is closing. Again, this is just one more step as we continue to work recovery operations for Dragon Freedom. And we anticipate the lift of the Dragon capsule to occur here in just a few minutes. Now, once all of the rigging is on the capsule and it's hooked up to the recovery vessel, we will see the hydraulic arm, which is that kind of like bridge-like structure there at the aft end of the recovery vessel. We're closing the distance there between, dolphin cam back again.
So apparently we're supposed to think that all of this stuff is actually real. Then we get to the people actually coming out of the pod. Because again, you need to see this so that you believe that it's real, because it's too hard for most of these people to wrap their heads around one of these events or all of these events actually being scripted and planned out. Because they think in their mind, they're going, okay, so he's in on it, she's in on it. They did all of this stuff just to trick and dupe us. Well, yeah, and that's how they get away with doing these events at schools or the event in Las Vegas, because they make people think that it's too sophisticated of an operation for the government to actually plan out. But it's actually very easy for them to do. In fact, most of the time we see the same crisis actors used in those events. And here's the New York Post. They came from outer space. And there's your image of the trapped astronaut posing, giving the thumbs up, making sure that it's in these new, even more ridiculous spacesuits that they wear now, which seem even less protective than the old ones that they actually are. It almost looks like she's wearing a dirt bike uniform. But here's the footage they wanted you to see, because they wanted you to see the landing, right? So you get that in your brain and it helps add to the psychosis that they were up in space. And now they want you to see these astronauts who've just been hanging out for 9 months out in space, apparently, get out of the pod. So you can cheer, and you could cheer on Elon Musk, and you could cheer on SpaceX, and you could start to continue to believe that all these things that they tell you that they're going to do with going to Mars and planting the American flag can actually occur, right? Because this adds to the belief in the psychosis that those things are possible when they're actually not, and they're not going to occur. Great deceptions are going to occur instead. But here they are. They wanted to make sure they showed you this, so they made sure they had a camera crew there and put it all over the internet so that you could see them getting out and getting put into a wheelchair afterwards. Take a look.
Once again, some elation and cheers there from Butch Wilmore. We're getting our next crew member here. That is none other than Sunny Williams. Big smile, big waves. She, like her other crew members, now will be assisted onto the mobility aid.
There we have it. Some waves, some thumbs up, and some smiles.
Right? All deception. That's what this stuff is. This is how they build and create these things in your mind. If they told you that they could go to space and they could do these things without showing you footage, even as fake as it is, you would find it hard to believe because you couldn't grasp it unless you actually saw it. And that's what a psyop is. That's how psychological operations work, right? But most people don't realize NASA themselves even uses the serpent's tongue in their actual logo because NASA in Hebrew means to deceive. And this is all leading to great deceptions. Deceptions about Mars and deceptions about fake alien invasions to come. So they went out of their way with Butch Wilmore, who was one of the astronauts that was rescued, Butch and Sonny, right? I mean, the names, right? Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, someone said in the comment section on one of my previous videos about it, right? You get Butch Wilmore, who says, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, he's working out his plan. So they did an interview with him in space, and he mentioned Jesus Christ, right? And as we've seen with what they're doing with their psyops now, all of these deceivers are calling on Jesus Christ. They're mentioning Jesus Christ. They're pretending to worship Jesus Christ. Now, I'm not one to judge what's in a man's heart. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, well, this person claims to be Christian and they're not. But when it comes to NASA and it comes to Trump and it comes to the government, you could bet your bottom dollar that these people do not worship Jesus Christ. They're using this so that they can play into Christians, and Christians will believe these psyops more. Because what we've seen with Donald Trump, with Elon Musk, is that when these people who their trees should be known by their fruit, when you look at these people like Trump and Musk and what they've said in the past and how they act, right? It's very easy to say, well, these are likely not Christians. In fact, there's no way that they're actually Christians. Elon Musk pushing atheism in the past. I mean, all these different things, right? But now that they say that they believe in Jesus Christ, of course, these Christians are going to give them automatically the benefit of the doubt. They're going to say, well, who are we to judge? Who are we going to put? And they don't realize that they're doing this so that they can lure them into a deception. Because now they're putting all their trust in Trump and Musk and all this other crap because these people are just saying that they know Jesus Christ and they believe in Jesus Christ. I can guarantee you, as much as people want to believe that astronaut Butch Wilmore is a Christian, I can guarantee you, anybody who's working at NASA, I would almost bet my life that a prerequisite for working at NASA would be that you could not be a follower of Jesus Christ. In fact, in 2016, I actually did a video covering this same topic because NASA admitted that they wouldn't hire Christians to work at NASA. But most people should know that anybody who's an operative in the government is a member of secret societies, just like we know the astronauts are all Freemasons. This goes back to Buzz Aldrin and the rest of them faking the moon landing. And Freemasons pretend to be followers of Christ, but of course we know that Freemasons actually believe that Lucifer is the light bearer. But here's a clip of the astronaut just letting everybody out there know that he's a follower of Christ so that he can, again, lure them in.
Our life experiences and this extended business trip of yours certainly qualifies. What is your life lesson or takeaway from these 9 months in space?
Well, in answer to your question, I can tell you honestly, my feeling on all of this goes back to my faith. It's bound in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. He is working out his plan and his purposes for his glory throughout all of humanity, and how that plays into our lives is significant and important. And however that plays out, and I am content because I understand that. I understand that he's at work in all things. Some things are for the good. Go to Hebrews chapter 11. Some things look to us to be not so good, but it's all working out for his good for those that will believe. And that's the answer.
So that's how easy it is to create psychological operations, right? You tell people, you show people. First, you tell them that you're Christian, right? So people won't question the validity of any of this stuff. You say, what? This guy's in on it. He's pretending to be in space. He's pretending to do a moon landing, right? You try to explain to them about Buzz Aldrin and the other astronauts being Freemasons and even admitting out of their own mouths that they never went to the moon in the first place. And it's too much for them to grasp. And on top of that, you really start to see where the Psyop is headed, right? Because the astronaut that you just saw there professing Christ also was dressed up as an alien when greeting the SpaceX crew at the International Space Station a few days ago. Now, I would have to, really, you don't have to think too deep, but I would have to really wonder what people's brains are thinking when they see stuff like this. I mean, isn't there a limited amount of luggage that you can bring on board one of these things? And obviously you can't call Amazon for a delivery, right? I mean, I guess you can since you're not really in space, but if you're allowed to bring a suitcase of stuff and you're up there for 9 months, it's one of the things you're going to bring an alien mask for what? For one good joke? Or is this guy walking around wearing an alien mask all day and night? So he put on an alien mask and pretended to scare some of the SpaceX crew as they arrived. Nobody questioned why he had one or how he had one because, again, I mean, unless Jeff Bezos just sent him one, and he opened up his door, and I'm sure he probably did, and that's how he got the mask. Nobody's wondering why he even had one there in the first place because nobody thinks that deep, right? But this tells you where all this stuff is actually headed, right? And there's always a meaning to these types of things being out there, right? They put these articles out there, People Magazine, all the mainstream media outlet covered this, that the astronaut's wearing an alien mask and everyone went, ha, 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 right? But the joke's eventually going to be on them because that's what this space deception is all about. It's about alien deception, right? In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness and unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause, God shall send them strong delusions, that they should believe a lie. Well, one of the delusions that they're going to believe is this lie of aliens. And now we're seeing even things like this on a daily basis on the news, on ABC, really the fake news. But the mainstream media is consistently covering aliens and government cover-ups. And they're doing this because this is a training mechanism to train the audience out there to say they've been lied to. You've been lied to your entire life. The government's been hiding this from you. Aliens are actually real. Aliens are real, and there's a government cover-up, right? This is something that aired recently on ABC.
Are we alone in the universe? The question is back in the spotlight as government officials speak out in a new documentary.
I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings.
An explosive documentary is setting out to prove aliens are real and the government is covering it up. The new film, The Age of Disclosure, claims to reveal an 80-year cover-up of the existence of non-human intelligent life and a secret war amongst major nations to reverse engineer technology of non-human origin.
You think for a second that they wouldn't consider using it to achieve their ends of domination?
It features more than 30 U.S. officials speaking out on the alleged existence of aliens and UFOs, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Even presidents have been operating on a need-to-know basis, but that begins to ramp out of control.
The film just premiered at the South by Southwest Film Festival.
Kind of spread like wildfire amongst those who are in the inner circle on this within our government, and they started to realize this is a unique opportunity to bring the truth out.
I think it gave them an opportunity to tell their side of the story, and they had absolutely nothing to gain but public humiliation. I mean, myself, I've lost contributors.
This is the biggest discovery in human history.
Reaction has been mixed. One person posting, "Spreading the word about this topic is the most important story in the history of humanity," but another saying, "Not a single scrap of verifiable evidence has ever been shown." A public release date for the film has not yet been announced.
I'll definitely be watching.
Of course, you get all your politicians in there saying, yep, there's a cover-up. We all know about it. Aliens are real, and we're going to reveal this stuff to you, right? As if we're actually supposed to believe them. Now, it makes it more believable for a lot of the sheeple out there because they hear that the government's hiding it from them. And they're automatically, they go, well, what are they hiding? I want to know. They don't realize they're being baited, okay? Aliens are not real. Demons are. Aleister Crowley, Lam, the image. Again, I'll say it and show it over and over. Channeled this spirit of Lam during one of his rituals. That is where they got this image for a gray alien that you see in every single movie and every depiction of an alien. And Aleister Crowley even wrote in his book, today they call them angels and demons, tomorrow they will call them something else. And what they call them is angels. And they're preparing you for massive deceptions that are to come, including aliens and including Mars. So that's the purpose of these stories. It reintroduces people out there to space travel. You get characters, you get oh, here's the two people, okay. Then they get you to know the character. Oh, he's a Christian. Oh, what about her? Oh, tell us a little bit about her background, right? Now you believe that this is a real backstory. These are real people, and they're up stranded in space. And now Elon Musk is going to save NASA from their blunder by using his SpaceX, which has now overtaken NASA. And again, that's probably a way to get conservatives on board if they are skeptical of NASA to still believe space travel is real, and it can be done through Elon Musk and SpaceX, because that's what his role is, right? He's playing the genius, the guy who's coming up with all of this technology, right? And we're supposed to believe that. And again, most of the technology that he releases is actually DARPA technology that they're just trying to normalize. You get all your alt-right media cheering, showing you how wonderful it is. The astronauts have been saved. None of them questioning the validity of the moon landing or going into space. None of them. Does Jones? No. Does Kirk? No. Does Shapiro? No. Does Walsh? No. All of these government operatives pretending to give you truth are going to lead you into a trap. And the visual of all this stuff is needed to bring you into the psychosis. Because if you just heard this on the radio, it wouldn't be enough. You need to see it. There it is. It's falling into the ground, right? How fake the footage could possibly, could you make it more CGI than that? I don't know, right? But then everybody sees it. Oh, and there they are. They're in there. They're in that pod. And look, dolphins are swimming around, right? Just like I said, just like Donald Trump, everybody needed to see that, right? If they wanted to whack him, did they need to do it while there were cameras on him, right? Couldn't they have done it while he's sleeping? Couldn't they Princess Diana him in a tunnel somewhere? They needed you to see it. And Trump needed to stand up and pump his fist because that was the key moment to bring you into the psychosis. That's what all these stories are. And then people out there retweet, welcome home to the astronauts. My brain can't process that it could be fake possible footage because my heroes, Trump and Musk, brought them home. So I won't question it. And then my alt-right media that I get my information from isn't going to question that. So why would I ever think like that, right? And then you get the footage of them, of course, coming out of the shuttle. They have their NASA suits on, their space suits on again, right? Most of the footage you see of them floating around in space, they're not even wearing their space outfits. But when they get out back on Earth in the ocean, you'd think that they probably didn't need to wear these outfits. But of course they needed to wear them for the photograph. So that it gets ingrained in your brain that they were just out in space. And here's some astronauts that have returned home. We've saved the astronauts, right? Lost in space, as the headline says. And the psychosis of NASA, and NASA meaning to deceive, and these people just getting sucked in where all these actors have to do is profess Christ as king, but we know that many will say that they knew him and didn't, right? Many people will just use that as a way to deceive. That's why God tells us to test the spirits, test the fruits, right? And then it leads to what? It leads the astronauts wearing the alien mask in space. Nobody's questioning why he even has one up there. I guess he's just got a crazy sense of humor. They're like, you could bring 10 items. What are you going to bring? I'm going to bring an alien mask, right? Huh? What? Right? But that's the truth in plain sight. That's how these Masons operate, right? They always show you the truth in plain sight and why it's needed to start deceiving you back into believing we could go to Mars now without ever anybody addressing the fakest footage we've ever seen, which was the moon landing, the astronauts themselves admitting that they never actually went, and we just move right into Mars, right? We're just, well, we don't need to go back to the moon, we're going to Mars now, right? Haven't you noticed recently they've been trying to tell you that they're landing things on the moon, that it's easy now? Oh, yeah. There's a story out there recently, a corporation landed a device on the moon, right? Oh, sure. Yeah, you could be next. You could buy something from Amazon and send it up to the moon and it'll land on there, right? We're going to Mars now. We're past the moon. Right? And we know that means Devon Island, of course, while they're telling you at the same time that they're going to start revealing to you all of this alien cover-up. And it becomes believable when you start believing that space travel is real, that astronauts are there, we could go on Mars, we could colonize Mars, so aliens must be real because the government's now baiting us by telling us, oh yeah, everybody on the inside's been hiding it from you. Oh, what heroes these people are. All these snakes in the government start coming out and saying, yeah, they've been hiding it. We've been hiding it. The government's been hiding it. Well, of course, naturally, that's going to make you say, well, I want to know what they've been hiding from us. Instead of going, yeah, could it be working the other way? Could this be reverse psychology? They're telling us that they're hiding stuff so that I believe that they're hiding this stuff, so that whatever they're hiding must be real because I don't need to see it with my own eyes, right? I can just take their word for it because they're telling me they're hiding it. Now all of a sudden you believe it's all real because they're just pretty much baiting you in by going, they don't want you to see this. Well, then show me it, right? They don't want you to see this. Well, I want to see it. And then they show it to you and they expect you to believe and go, I knew it. Yep, it's real. And that's all it takes. It's nothing more than a psychological operation that we're living in. And it's incredible. The CGI footage is some of the funniest that I've seen. I don't know how anybody out there can say that that was real. That footage of it actually landing in the ocean, right? I mean, sure. If you want to believe that, and you want to believe in the Tooth Fairy, and you want to believe in Santa Claus, and you want to believe in only the certain conspiracies out there, right, that fit into, the alt-right narrative, because that's what it's about. The alt-right media just, if they tell them that space and all this stuff is fake, they'll start believing it. But the alt-right media is the ones feeding them this stuff about, oh, yeah, we could go up there, and oh, we could go to Mars. And they're conditioning them. Even Alex Jones is conditioning his audience into how colonizing Mars could save human civilization. He's not, nothing about, well, this is ridiculous, this isn't happening. Nothing about Devon Island, where they film this fake stuff, because there's certain topics they don't go into, and they're never going to talk about space being fake and how they faked it. And they're also not going to talk about weather modification, because they almost tie into one another. When you actually pay attention to what, Hart pretends like they don't know what they're doing, but they're heating the ionosphere. They're shooting and heating up the sky, right? And then that bounces back down and is used on us. That's the point of what they actually do there. That's how they're able to modify the weather, among other things that they do. So the astronaut landing, one of the funnier ones we've seen in a while. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.